Hello, fellow fantasy sports fans. We are here on MFSN. This is the Q&A every Tuesday night, usually at 6 p.m. This time, 6 p.m. Eastern, by the way, 3 p.m. Pacific. Tonight, it's 6:07 p.m. We're doing it specially for my friend Tommy Feldman, who was born on June 7th. We're starting at 6:07, and he's probably not even watching. Anyways, we're actually starting late because we had a technical difficulty, but we are here. And I am here to answer all of your questions, all sports-related things. We are moving heavily into baseball season because basketball season is by and large over. There are some leagues still playing. I got some questions recently, and it's great to still answer those questions, but I can't believe they're still going. Meanwhile, we are here on Instagram with you live. It's good to see everybody, and I want to make sure that feed is working. I believe it is. Let's see. I don't know if it's working. We'll check. My producer will let me know and we'll fix it if not. In any case, I'm here to talk baseball with you primarily, but I do want to gloat just a little bit because I joined Ross the Boss's hockey league and in my rookie year won the whole thing. And I will tell you, one of the best feelings you can have is when you join a new sport and you make it work. I had not paid attention to hockey in years. I thought that the Detroit Red Wings were still good. Apparently, they're the worst team in hockey. I had no idea. So I did figure it out before I drafted, so that was good. But it really is a great thing. If you apply your fantasy prowess to any sport, you can get to a point where you can win it all. I won in my first season of baseball. I won in my first season of basketball, and I won in my first season of hockey. In football, it took me years to win. Football's a different beast, but it's all a pleasure, all super fun. Now, let's talk baseball. But before we do, I want to remind everybody out there, if you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below, and I'll get back to you personally. I've been having a discussion with, I believe his name is Anthony, on basketball. Been advising him through the fantasy championship. He's gotten to the championship, so something I said must have gone right. And I'm hoping that we get him through to the win. He needs to play some big men because he needs some field goal percentage. So I coached him up on that. Okay, guys, let's take a look at baseball leagues. Let's take a look at who's floating out there and analyze why. We're going to go to the players list, but I want everybody to notice. Let's pull up that screen. Here it is. Okay, I want everybody to notice. Right now, we're looking at all available players. That's not generally what you want to look at when you're trying to help people understand what's going on. You want all players because all leagues are different. So I've loaded it up. As you can see, JD Martinez is at the top. He's currently the #1 ranked player. Let's look at his stats. This guy, if you bet on him, which would have been a smart thing to do after a down year, he's having a monster season. Why should we not be surprised by this? I'll tell you why. The reason we shouldn't be surprised by this is last year, we only played 2 months. A lot of players start off slow in those first months. They just take a while to get heated up. He never completely did. But the guy is batting .338, 31 runs, 10 homers, 31 RBIs. And this just happens to be the league that I'm in, one of my leagues. This is the keeper league. Cuban Kings. He has him. And look, he's also got Ohtani, the batter. And he's ranked 4. Now, I'm noticing we're having a technical difficulty with Instagram, so I'm going to fix that problem. Let's get that going. We're going to go, no, that's not what I wanted to do. I want to go live. Stop it. Well, it's not letting me go live. Greg, any idea why that's happening? Hold on. I think I figured it out. We're about to go live. Checking connection. Here it is. I'm now live on Instagram. Hello, Instagram. It's good to see you. Why is my light flashing? I don't know. Greg, you see if you can figure that out, but it seems to be flashing. I'm doing a strobe effect. I think that something's not right with this. This is hilarious. We're having technical difficulties all over the place. Now, meanwhile, wow, that's really distracting to look at myself that way. I'm going to reload this because that is bothering the crap out of me. And now, please. Yes, please. No, we're just going to delete that. And we're going to go back to it. This is fun. You're getting to see me having technical difficulties in the moment. Isn't that wonderful? All right, we're live now. Checking connection. Are you going to keep flashing at me like that? No. Yes, you are. Okay, fine. Well, Greg, you tell me how it's coming through Instagram, and Instagram fans out there, let me know. In the meantime, I'm going to keep analyzing I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. Look at Byron Buxton. He's injured right now, but the guy is ranked 9th overall. This guy has had the breakthrough we all hoped he would. He is batting .370. And, all right, Instagram not working. We're going to scrap that. Instagram, sorry, but you are not going to be part of this tonight. Anyways, look at Byron Buxton. He's finally had his breakthrough. 19 runs in only 92 at-bats. 19 runs, 9 homers, 17 RBIs, 5. All right, I can't take this anymore. Get out of my face with your flashing. Major technical difficulties today. Okay, Byron Buxton, another guy that if you bet on him after, not great seasons and not breaking out, you paid off handsomely. Look at Ohtani, another guy that you could bet on. He was just a utility player. And 26 runs, 10 homers, 26 RBIs, 6 stolen bases, and a .266 batting average. Now, of course, I drafted the pitcher Ohtani. He's been fine, but he has not been this. This guy is a monster. And you can see this guy, Cuban Kings, he's got JD Martinez and Ohtani. These are 2 guys he could get for cheap, and he's probably doing very well in the standings. Why don't we check it out? It's funny that I say probably because, you'd think I would know, but here's the thing. In rotisserie, very different than in head-to-head, you can often kind of lose track of what other people are doing because what you really need to be doing is maximizing what you are doing. So let's see. I bet he's near the top. He's ranked 4, only 2.5 points ahead of me. Jobu's rum. Now, I would like it noted, yes, I did spell Jobu wrong, but I started this a long time ago, and I didn't know the spelling was Jobu. So I continue to think they got it wrong. And I will continue that until I decide not to be so stubborn. And then maybe I'll change it. But I don't know. I just like the look of this. So with the standings, I want to show the standings for a second. Current standings, but I want to see the full standings. Yes. Here's where we see all the magic. Okay, it's loading the standings. The great thing about this is, and this is live, by the way, on Yahoo. Got to give them credit for that. They do some other things not so well, but okay, this is runs. Now, I rank 4.5 in runs right now, but let's see. Does that actually add up so much? Am I really that far behind? Well, the answer is basically yes. I have 2 people ahead of me that I could pretty easily catch. But after that, we've got a top tier that's really running away with it right now. Now, can I catch them all? Yes, there's plenty of time in rotisserie. In head-to-head, it's different. You've got your week. You've got to manage what's going on there. You've got to win that week as much as you can. In rotisserie, you got plenty of time. So let's check how I'm doing the standings otherwise. Home runs. I've only got 38 home runs. I'm 1 out of the back end of things. I've had a cold 2 or 3 weeks. I was at the top categories of many, many offensive categories. Not quite home runs, but I was way up there. The good news here is I can move up several. If I just have a good couple weeks, I can jump up to 3rd on this list very easily. So I'm not worried. It's all about putting together the best team. I may try to trade for a power hitter, though, to get things going. RBIs, I'm middle of the pack, but I've got plenty of room to move up. I could get all the way to the top very easily. Stolen bases, I was having a lot of problems in. Recently, I've had a really good run. 19 steals, I'm 4 steals out of 2nd place. Now, that would move me up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots. I'd be up to, where would I be in the overall standings? Let's check the overall standings. If I moved up 5 points just in steals, well, right now I'm at 68.5. I'd be up to 73.5. I'd be in 4th place just from that one move. This shows you what can happen with 4 steals. That can happen very easily. Let's take a look at how I'm doing in average. And look, this is what I'm doing. If I'm kind of tooling around on the internet trying to figure out what's going on with my team, this is what I'm doing. I'm actually looking at the stats to see where am I falling on everything. Batting average, I am number 1. That's great. That's a good strong suit. It also helps that When I lost my catcher, Travis Darnod, I can play a catcher that doesn't have great batting average because look at my batting average. I'm doing great. But if I let myself sink enough, I could fall into this tier right here around the 259 mark. If I fall that far, I'm starting to lose a lot of ground. I really need to win that category. I had 3 wins the other night, which bumped me up to 14, which I really need. Now, I want you all to notice something. Look at the innings pitched. We got 290, 287, 381. Who's at 381? Okay, the McEnroes. So this guy has pitched a lot of innings already, and he's only got 19 wins. So I have pitched 234 innings. That is almost 150 less innings to get 5 wins. I should be able to get that. That's a slow pace. So the chances are that I would pass him in that category. That's something you need to know about pitching. You need to measure it based on innings pitched and how you're matching up. Again, this is rotisserie. In head-to-head, it's a totally different ballgame. Sometimes you're going to want to pitch a lot of innings. Sometimes you're not. What I'm going to do on these Q&As is I'm usually going to toggle between the 2 types of leagues because I want to show you just how different they are. We're going to spend time on rotisserie today. And, oh, look, Ross the Boss is here. Ross, welcome. Thanks for joining us. All right. So I have the fewest innings pitch in the league other than I'm thinking about it, who we all know. No, we don't all know this, but everyone in the league knows he should be called Matsuzaka because that was his original name. He's not pitching enough innings. He's not going to catch up on his innings. I will, so no matter what. And so I know I'm going to move up. Let's see how I'm doing in saves. I have fought through all of these closer problems. Tatis tested positive for COVID. Is this real? Is this fake news? I'm going to check it. I'm not messing around. Did Tatis positive pregnancy test? No, that's not what I'm looking for. This is just what I do. Yep. Tested positive for COVID 41 minutes ago. Do you trade him? Absolutely not. No, you trade for him. You don't listen. COVID tends to keep these players out for a relatively short amount of time. Listen, though, COVID is a serious thing. It could get more serious. In that case, maybe you do trade him. Right now, absolutely not. And if you're in a keeper league or a dynasty league, absolutely not. Tatis is as good as it gets. It's amazing how quickly he's come up. Now, I want to show you something about strikeouts right now. I have 319 strikeouts in only 234 innings. If you look at the people ahead of me, this guy has 290 innings. I'm going to catch him because my ratio is so much better. Here we've got 262 and 355. They have a ratio that is actually almost better than mine. No, it is not almost. It's actually better than mine, but it's close. Here, 300 versus 364. I will probably catch this if I keep up my pace. And here, 381, 425. I'm likely to move up at least 3 spots in strikeouts. So when I'm looking at my rotisserie standings, I'm actually adding in what I think I'm going to get. You know, am I going to move up in steals? I do think I'm going to. I have a decent steals team. I should move up. Am I going to move up in strikeouts? Absolutely. So if I'm factoring those in, I've got 6 more points already. I consider myself to be in 4th place right now. If I can keep moving up in some things, especially in the power categories, I've got a really good chance. Let's look at my pitching numbers so far. A 2.95 ERA, pretty good. It's in 4th place. I'm very close to moving up 1. My whip, 1.06. I could move all the way up to the top. I could slide back some, but we'll have to see. We have a question. Wander Franco looks great in the minors. Trade for him? Yes. Now. Here's why I'm saying now. We're getting to the point where we're getting close to mid-May. Players like Wander Franco are going to get called up. On the waiver wire show, we told you to pick up Jared Kelenic. Well, guess what? He is about to be promoted. If you picked him up after watching our show, you will be in much better shape now because that guy is a power speed guy. You can get him for cheap, but probably not anymore. This might be the last day that you can. If you're playing in a league where people are sleeping on it, you can pounce on him. Wander Franco is a guy that you can still get because he's not coming up quite yet. You want to pick up these guys 2 weeks before they're coming up because then you get them for cheap. Otherwise, you're going to have to pay through the roof. All right. Let's take a look at the overall standings. I want to see how we're all doing. And let's make a note of something here. I'm gonna call it like it is. I do that on this show. We've got different names. First of all, Ross's name, Jobu wants a refill. I've been trying to get him to change it to Jobu needs a refill because that's the correct line. But also, get your own name, Ross. Come on, we want to see your name. This is your franchise. You name it. Don't name it after me. I know you're not really naming it after me. I'm just giving you a hard time. Now, let's look at this. Death by BABIP. What is BABIP? BABIP is batting average on balls in play. What this is suggesting is that he's getting very bad luck. And you see why. He has a 1 in average. That means he has the worst average in the league. And I just want to see what is his average. He is batting .231. Man, who is on that team? I'm going to take a look and see. All right, what hitters are on this team and what are their batting averages? I need to see this. Because when somebody says something like, they have, oh, wait, no, I'm on live standings. I don't want to be on that. When somebody says they're having bad luck, I'm not saying that they're not necessarily, but sometimes people say they have bad luck and really they have a bad team. It can happen. You can have some of both also, of course. But let's check out what Death by BABIP has going on in their batting average department, because I want to know, are they actually being really unlucky or not? Okay, they've got Yan Gomes is their catcher. This is new, so I'm not really factoring in. Trey Mancini's average seems totally normal. Nick Solak, 271, normal. Manny Machado batting .228, not likely to be normal. Let's check it out. What's his average usually? I think of Manny Machado as a kind of 270 hitter. Now let's see if I'm right. Well, let's see. In recent years, so last season he batted .304, but he batted .256 before that, .273 before that, .315 the year before that. Oh, actually that was a partial year, so about .290. .259 before that. So .228. Yeah, he's probably having a low BABIP, but I'll tell you what, we'll look it up. Manny Machado BABIP. This tells you whether a player's getting lucky or not in 2021. How is it? Fangraphs. Fangraphs is a great site, by the way, if you want to know about minor league baseball or if you want to know some of these deeper stats that really tell you what you need to know. All right. Why is that not loading? There we go. Okay. We got his BABIP is 260. Not really far off from some of his lesser seasons. So I'm not really seeing that as bad luck in all likelihood. Maybe there's a different stat. This ISO stat, I need to figure out what that is. There's all these deep dive stats. I'm going to leave that up because I want to see if this really is bad luck. Randall Grichuk, 295 average. Raimel Tapia, 314 average. I don't see any bad luck going on so far. Ramon Laureano, 244. That's not really far off the pace. Kyle Tucker, 192. That's a putrid average. Truly putrid. Makes the Mendoza line look like it's high up. Mendoza line, for those of you who don't know, is 220. We've got L. Barber, 74. He joined us and as asking, where's Tony Todd? The question that many people are asking, probably at a baseball game. I was with Tony Todd earlier today. We were recording an interview. This was very exciting. We had Lucas Giolito, who is a member of my fantasy baseball team. But I'll tell you what, Lucas is also a delight to talk to. He's a funny guy. He's quick-witted, and he's got a lot to say about all kinds of things. He's also really, really knowledgeable about baseball. So you're going to want to check out that interview. That's going to be coming out next week. All right. We're going to check out not Manny Machado. Now we're going to check out Kyle Tucker. I just decided to do a deep dive on this, and this is something I might have done at home. When somebody says death by BABIP, I'm like, all right, let's find out. Are you actually getting unlucky or not? Well, let's see. BABIP of 187 for Kyle Tucker. That's definitely bad BABIP. So he does seem to be getting very unlucky. And maybe that's what he's talking about. I'll give him that for Kyle Tucker. Yes. Javier Baez, 255 average. That seems totally normal. By the way, look at those monster numbers. Andrew Vaughn, I'm sure he hasn't been playing him much, but his average seems to be totally fine. Gavin Lux, definitely not doing well so far. Ooh, Josh Bell, batting 141. Now, this was one of our bust calls here on MFSN. I don't remember if he drafted Josh Bell or traded for him. I don't think he got to pick him up on waivers, but 141. Let's take a look at Josh Bell and find out. Oh, Buddy Bell. That brings back memories from my childhood. All right. Josh Bell's BABIP, 160. Very unlucky. All right. So we found a second player on this team where the luck is really down. Other than that, I don't think you can really complain all that much, but two players with pretty massive BABIP, I would say that is bringing his average down. Even so, that team shouldn't be batting 231, but they look like they're a team that's going to bat like 250, maybe. Let's see where that would put them in the league. Deep dive on that team, huh? Well, that's one of my arch rivals, Andrew. My cousin Andrew. So I wanted to see where he was with things. I give him maybe a C+ grade on whether he's actually getting terrible BABIP. But if I say he's basically going to come up to 250 at most, let's see where he'd be finishing. Well, right now we know he's at 231. If he comes up to 250, that's like 3 points. Gonna have to say that that's not really driving the ship here so much. All right, let's go back to looking at the list of players available. And I want to remind everybody out there, by the way, and this includes you, L Barber 74. And I don't know if that means you were born in the same year I was, because the number 74 that's when I was born. You can come on here. You can come on here to talk to me about anything you want. If you want to come on video or audio, it's all good. www.callmfsn.com. Come on anytime. We have not gotten a lot of takers for this just yet, but I know we will. So get in while you can. In the meantime, if you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below, and I'll get back to you personally if you direct it to me. If not, maybe it's Ross the boss. So in the meantime, yes, Ross, trade for Wander Franco. But you own Wander Franco, and I'm trying to trade for him, and you laughed at my offer. I didn't mean to make it a laughable offer. I see where you're coming from, that wasn't what you wanted, but I asked you what you wanted, and you were totally evasive. So I can't trade. You got to communicate, people. Okay, let's go back to all available players. Actually, you know what? I'm going to show you who's available in my league. This guy, Tyler Naquin, he's really been doing very well. Now, I'm an Indians fan, so I remember Tyler Naquin as a guy who needed to catch a fly ball that was right to him in a big game. And as I remember, it was the World Series, in fact, 2016, and he blew it. It probably cost us the World Series. But if it was going to happen against, it couldn't happen to a nicer team than the Cubs, because they had a real curse on them. I hope the Cubs fans will return the favor and root for me and my team, the Indians, who won't be the Indians by then, when it is our time. Eventually, maybe we'll break that curse. I didn't think we were going to win a championship in my lifetime in any sport, and then LeBron did it. And by the way, I do not count the Cleveland Crunch of the Major Indoor Soccer League. They did win a championship, but come on. If it had been the Cleveland Force, the team that I followed in the MISL, maybe. No, I would have counted that. I love the Force. They're long defunct. But shout out to Kai Hoskevy of the Cleveland Force. He was our captain and one of the best players. I want to see what Tyler Naquin has been doing lately. A little bit of slow internet going here. I'm going to look at the game log. Sometimes people don't dive as deeply into these things, but I sometimes like to look at the game log just to see what is happening. And one of the key things I talk about a lot is walks and strikeouts. Are they happening a lot? So Tyler Naquin, he's been slow and steady lately. He's had 2 really good games lately. You see his walks and strikeouts, though. He's not walking a ton. There's a lot to like in this. Profile. But if you look at it, the numbers are very inflated by this 5-game span when he hit 5 home runs, and he drove in 7 runs in 1 game. Still, he's got a piece of the Reds lineup. Somebody that I think you can certainly consider picking up. Brandon Belt, another good pickup. Look at his numbers. 229 average. Let me show you something about Brandon Belt, though. If you want to own this guy, here's what you do with him. We're going to go to split stats. I'm a split stats kind of guy. Oh, we got a question from James Ward. I'm going to get back to split stats while this is loading. James Ward asks, what do you think of keeping guys like Ke'Bryan Hayes on a roster after they get moved to the IL 60-day injured list? It really depends on the league, James, but I would say in general, a guy like Ke'Bryan Hayes is totally worth keeping on that injured list. If you've got a guy who can be a major impact, you keep him. But if it's a keeper league, for sure you keep him on the IL 60. This guy could be a really great keeper for you at third base. Dynasty league, no question. But I will say this, though, James. If you run into trouble and your team's getting injured a lot, could I also see cutting Ke'Bryan Hayes? Yes, I could. What I would probably try to do is try to trade him or trade one of your other injured guys and get some healthy guys in there. But I don't consider him to be of no value if he's on the IL 60. Absolutely not. Carlos Carrasco, by the way, was just added to the IL 60, even though he was supposed to be back soon. I was disappointed in that because I've been stashing him. For those of you who don't know, stashing is when you take a player that is injured and you stash him on your roster. It's just what it sounds like. Yeah, James, I think you should come on live. I'd love you to join me, but there is no pressure. Now, I will show you this, though. Brandon Belt. It's not going to help you with batting average this year, but usually it does. Look at his stats against righties versus lefties. Against lefties, his batting average is still bad, but he doesn't hit the ball out at all. Against righties, he's hit the ball out 8 times in 79 at-bats with 17 RBIs. His walk-to-strikeout ratio is looking good, not quite as good as it does against lefties. Now let's find out, is that the norm for him? I'm going to go back to the 2020 season, see how this guy does. Look at the numbers, the split stat numbers. Now, this was a short season. He had 8 homers again, 24 RBIs, but 350 average. That was Brandon Belt when he got hot. All right, so I'm not counting that as how he is. But if you look here, 242 average, a 769 OPS. OPS is when you combine when you combine on-base percentage with slugging percentage, and that's how you get that number. But if it's below 800, that's typically not very good. So kind of underwhelming. But look at this, 60 walks and 87 strikeouts. Steal some bases, too. You could do a lot worse than Brandon Belt. Let's take a look at 2018 just to round it out. 822 OPS, 270 average. If you're in a pinch and you need a guy, I think playing Brandon Belt against righties is a good idea. Let's look at Brandon Crawford. Is this guy for real? 233 average doesn't speak to being very for real, but batting averages have gone way down in the major leagues. There are certain art forms that are not being practiced. Batting average, not as important as home runs now. Stolen bases, not as important as home runs now. They live for the home run. And it's changing the way people are hitting. It's also changing the way people are pitching. It also is leading to huge strikeout totals among pitchers. It was unheard of to be 100 strikeouts above innings maybe 5 years ago as a team, let's say, or as a pitcher. Now it happens all the time. That's the equivalent of a guy throwing like 300 strikeouts in a 200-inning season. That didn't used to happen very often unless it was Randy Johnson or Nolan Ryan or some other Houston Astro. I don't know why they always have it. They don't, but they had a lot of them. Miguel Rojas, though, he's a player that I would pick up well before Brandon Crawford, because Brandon Crawford is one of these guys who is kind of a known entity, and he's solid, but he's the kind of guy you can add or cut. I find great comfort in players like that, actually, because you can add or cut them. It's fine. Miguel Rojas, though, he has more upside because he's not a proven commodity as much. Let's take a look and see what he's done in his career. He just So, look, he's played more than I thought he did. He's played 3 pretty full seasons. And his batting average is pretty solid. His home run total's not so good. But he does steal some bases. If you're in a pinch, I think you go for him. Okay, so it sounds like James Ward is going to come on. This is very exciting. Okay, he says, let me know what to do. Greg, hook James Ward up. And James, I'll see you soon. I'm going to keep analyzing this while you are looking into that. I'm going to take a look at Brian Reynolds, too. Again, this is a lot of what I do when I'm looking to assess my team and figure out, how do I need to proceed. I will tell you this, though. I'm not really looking to pick up somebody all that much. I'll show you why. Go into my team, and we're going to look at my lineup and see how they've been doing. Let's take the last 14 days. No, well, they haven't been doing so well the last 14 days, but let's take a look at it anyway. Okay, I've got Travis Darnod went down. Yep, you can go to www.callmfsn.com, by the way, if you want to come on. Sounds like James is going to do that soon. Williams Astudillo. I picked him up because Travis Darnod went down. I picked him up. And Mitch Garver, figuring the Minnesota catching situation, not so bad. And meanwhile, Astudillo is often playing a different position, so he might get to play more often. I think it's a pretty solid pickup. Nate Lowe has been really, really good this year. Let's show you what he's done for this year, by the way. How can Nate Lowe be a post-type sleeper? He had like a half a season of being a prospect, and everybody was like, oh, he's not that good. Well, look at him. He's 26th overall. 18 runs, 7 homers, 25 RBIs, 4 steals out of first base, and a 288 average. Am I going to end up keeping Nate Lowe? Quite possibly. I keep 6 of them. It's very possible I could end up keeping him or, trading him in some kind of keeper deal. Jose Altuve, I bet on him to have a rebound year. Here's the number I like to see, 291 average. He's hitting the ball well. He's scoring a lot of runs. He's only had 103 at-bats because he had COVID, so he was out for a while. Justin Turner, always underrated. I will say, Justin, you didn't do a great job with managing your COVID situation during the World Series last year. I'm going to smack you down for that, but it didn't stop me from drafting you. When it comes to fantasy baseball, a win is a win. Francisco Lindor, I called him to be one of my top busts in shortstop, but he was one of my keepers, so I couldn't do much about it. I haven't played him through most of this. So this is a little clue for death by BABIP. If you've got a player like Francisco Lindor who's playing really badly, let's check out his BABIP, by the way. Then maybe you bench him for a little while. That's what I did. I benched him for a long time. He'd been on the bench for about, I'd say, 2.5 weeks. And his BABIP, 205, well below what he's usually doing. So, hey, somebody else has some death by BABIP, I guess. That's actually really good news for me because what it means is Lindor is going to be back. He's going to start hitting the ball well. It's only a matter of time. He was pressing, though, because he signed that big contract in New York. Players go to the Mets and don't play well all the time. Okay, I've got Mike Trout. That obviously is not a problem at all. 365 average can make up for a lot of BABIP. Jared Walsh. I was very high on this guy. I didn't realize he was going to be this good, though. See, I look at these numbers, and I'm like, how? How am I so far behind in home runs? I got Nate Lowe. I got Jared Walsh. I got Mike Trout. So there must be other guys who are doing terribly. And Walsh is batting .347, by the way. I'm starting to regret having dealt him in my other league for Nelson Cruz. But Chris Atwater got me. He got me. And meanwhile, the reason I did it is Nelson Cruz was the clear winner of the deal, meaning I wasn't going to lose the deal exactly unless Walsh goes completely bananas. Meanwhile, if he does, I got him in another league. So I like that. Chris Taylor has looked great. 27 runs scored already. And I've been playing him instead of Francisco Lindor. Now, I'm going to take a pause because I believe James Ward is here to join me. James, welcome to the show. Can you hear me? Not yet. All right. Well, you're going to soon. They'll fix the technical issues. It's not your fault though, James. It's our fault. We're the hosts here. There you are. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Awesome. Oh, I love the hat. It's good to finally meet you. I've had many interactions with you already. I feel like
Yeah,
you're a friend.
yeah, I know. I feel like I'm in your Twitter inbox all the time.
I
So,
love it. So tell me, how's your season going?
it's going. It's going.
Give me the details. What does that mean?
Well, last week I think I would have won the week, but I had two pitching starts that were coming on Sunday that both got postponed. I had Kenta Maeda playing, and then I had Tyler Molly playing on
Yep.
Sunday, and then I lost by like 20 points. So it was kind of a bummer.
That's a bad beat. You know,
Yeah,
you could have won easily, and the weather got in your way.
yeah.
See. I hate bad luck, and this is one of the reasons I love. So is this your first year doing head to head?
This is my first year really following baseball at all.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, other than watching what comes on Sports Center. So,
So
um,
what are your sports typically?
I enjoy college football and San Antonio Spurs basketball, being in South Texas, and
Nice.
yeah, trying to think what else. Somewhat of like NFL football, but it wasn't. I grew up in Central Texas, and we don't have a big NFL culture in Central Texas. So,
Yep. All right.
um,
Let me ask you this. I mean, this is a general sports Q&A, so we don't have to talk to baseball if you don't want. Although
yeah,
I think it's great that you started in a baseball league, and I just did a hockey league for the first year, and I won it.
no way.
I did. I applied the basics of fantasy sports. It's all about the strategy, and I won it. I had no idea any of the players, like almost none of them. I knew Sidney Crosby. That was about it.
Wow.
But let me ask you this: as a Spurs fan, I love Greg Popovich.
Yeah,
He's one of my favorite coaches of all time.
yeah.
Now, I'm sure you love him for all kinds of reasons. But what do you think of Greg Popovich? Would you ever want the Spurs to move on from Greg Popovich?
I just don't think you could. I think they could, but he just has such a record as a winning coach, and their team is is a patchwork right now, and they're
Yeah,
still in playoff contention. It's just in the West. It's just kind of a crazy deal how.
he's a genius. But I
Yeah.
mean, he's also a great guy.
Hmm.
He's a total stand-up guy.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think he's a great. I think he's a great advocate for his athletes. He's a great coach. He's a great developer of players. So that's kind of it's difficult to really count him out because he could draft a few people. I think was it Kawhi Leonard went at like 17.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, what a steal.
yeah, and he traded I think Grant Hill for him. To get that pick at the time, which seemed was it Grant Hill? Um,
I'm not remembering what the trade was, but
yeah.
I'm going to trust you on that, James.
But I mean, yeah. So he does this great trade and develops players, and so it's really hard to really kind of coach out that can take um, maybe unseen talent and develop it. I think the NBA has gotten better at even. I think he's changed the way the NBA looks at European prospects and surfaces European prospects, and you've got, now we've got great European prospects coming in the league like Luka Doncic, and so um,
I think it's a really good point. I mean, coaches like him have changed the game. Let me ask you this. As a Spurs fan, how old were you the last time they won the championship?
Oh man, was that I must have been.
I think they won it in 2010. Do I have that right?
Well, they won it in 2010, and then they went in 2016 as well. I think, right? Was that?
In 2016. Who did they play?
Um,
No, 2016 was when my Cavs won it. So I know it's not that.
I'm getting my teams mixed up here. They won it in. I remember I was out of the city when it
Well,
happened.
who did they play? Did you remember? Was it when they played the Heat?
Um, yes. Okay. So they lost to the Heat one year, and they won against the Heat one year. Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah. So it may have been
I think
2010,
that's
but I
right.
think I was out of the country when it happened.
Where were you? What country?
I was in Asia, and it was kind of funny because I remember I was doing a cultural abroad program in Asia, and I remember coming out the day after the Spurs won, and the students were out there in full Spurs kits, and they didn't have like it was three of them just playing like drills together, but they didn't have like a Tim Duncan, a Parker and a Manu jersey. They just had like 2 Tim Duncans and a Parker jersey, but it was like the socks, the shorts, the shirt, the jersey, just out in the middle of playing hoops. It was interesting to see how far-reaching basketball has become.
That's amazing. Now, are you back in Texas now?
I am. I'm back in Texas now. So that's my full-time living situation. So.
Nice. Well, welcome back. So what inspired you to try fantasy baseball for the first time this year?
Yeah, a friend. I just had a friend that reached out and said, "Hey, I need a 10th for this league that I'm doing." And I kind of felt like I just wanted to be better friends with this guy and just
it's a great way to keep in touch. People don't talk about that often, but like I'm in leagues with people. I'm in better touch with them than some people that I was closer to at various times because it gives you that framework.
Yeah.
It's great.
Now, how did you get into fantasy sports?
Very similar to you. In fact, I wondered what percentage of people got into fantasy sports because they were the last team that entered the league. That's what happened. It was like, I have one spot left. And I was like, oh, what the hell? Now, look, I don't know if this happened to you, but I was worried it would corrupt my rooting interests. I was like, no, I'm a pure sports fan. I'm from Cleveland. So it's like, you root only for Cleveland teams. I can't. People have said to me, like, why don't you latch on to other teams when, the Browns are bad, let's say. And it's like, I can't. Listen, I would if I could. Trust me. The Browns have finally gotten good. So you like some NFL football too?
I do. Well, it's funny too that you mentioned even that statement about rooting for them because I have Mookie Betts and Tatis on my team. And I'm like, I'd love to have both of their jerseys, but I'm like, I feel like it would be kind of a sin to people in LA, to do something like that, to go and just have these two rival players,
That's hilarious
for both of them. So
I know.
I find myself rooting for both of them.
No, and so you haven't done fantasy football, right?
No, I've never really, just because I kind of have an addictive personality, and I don't know if this is the teledoc appointment or not too, but it's the free consultation.
Hey, listen, anything you need, James, you came on to talk to me. If we need to do some therapy, you let me know. And addiction is a serious thing.
Record it for YouTube.
No, but it's funny you say that because that was another reason I was like, I don't know if I want to do it because I don't know if I would say I have an addictive personality, but like I do get really into things. And I was like, I don't know if I do that, it's just adding another thing. Well, then I did it and I can't stop. Like now I'm just adding sports.
Yeah.
I'm starting to think about adding like a Premier League team because
come on, man. Come on.
You into that?
Yeah. I mean, my team Chelsea right now is in the Champions League final. So that'll be great. I really don't think they're going to win, but Manchester City has just been so dominant this year. So
now wait, if they win, does that mean they go up into the Premier League?
No. So what happens with the Premier League is they take and it's somewhat partial to the bigger leagues, but they take the best teams from the leagues in Europe at the end of the year, and they get to go play the Champions League, which starts out kind of as an elimination game, and then it goes into a home and away game with an aggregate score where you get more points for scoring away than you do scoring at home. And then you kind of have these double elimination games until the final, which is just a single game. And so teams from Europe gets, I think the UK gets 4 teams. It may have changed. Maybe it's 5 teams. And then Italy and Spain and Germany. And those are kind of the big ones. You have teams from Greece and Russia that play too.
I can't wait to learn all this. Because here's the thing. Have you seen the show Ted Lasso?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's
like the best show.
And it's good too. Yeah. It's like, I don't know why I like this, but it's good.
Oh my God. It's so good. Like it's one of the best shows ever. And it made me feel like, okay. So I actually took this quiz. To find out who my Premier League team would be.
Yeah.
Premier or Championship League in Champions League. I didn't actually know the difference. I was like, when teams get regulated, what happens to them? I was like, I didn't even know. So I took the quiz and I didn't love my answer because I was like, I've never even heard of this team. But
yeah.
I kept making little changes to be like, let me see if I can get a different one. No matter what I did, I got Norwich City.
Oh no.
What is Norwich City?
Honestly, I think they've recently been elevated into the Premier League, and so they're kind of a smaller.
They're an up and comer, huh?
Yeah, they're an up and comer. So they're like, they're like the last guy that's added to his fantasy league.
Yep.
You just barely make it in. And so, but yeah, it's fun to see those teams that usually it's these teams that get relegated that are kind of jumping back and forth. They're switching places at the bottom because the Premier League is so difficult to break into like the top 5. The Power 5 just kind of stay the same usually.
And so, who are those top 5? I'm fascinated.
Yeah, no, it's Manchester City, Manchester United, Liverpool, Chelsea, and forgetting one of them.
Arsenal?
Yeah, Arsenal. So those are the top 5.
I was gonna start rooting for Arsenal because I had read the book Fever Pitch a long time ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. I sound like I'm like a huge soccer fan or something, but I'm actually not. I haven't been. But I'm like I love the opportunity to root for teams, and so with this hockey league, okay, this will probably crack you up because I had to decide. Well, who are my teams? You know?
Yeah.
I'm a Cleveland guy, so I like an underdog. So, and I could pick anybody. So I decided to gravitate towards 2 underdogs, but I decided to pick a winner also because I was like, why not?
Right.
Why not? So my winner is the Pittsburgh Penguins. They're only 2 hours from Cleveland, but first I picked the Calgary Flames and the Buffalo Sabres. This is how I get Norwich City, you know?
Yeah. I
like,
can see it now.
Listen, I'm a pain doctor. I have to have some pain to be able to thrive.
Yeah.
So
just bring
James,
a little trauma in to mix it up.
Exactly. Now, this has been great. Would you be willing to join me again? We're on a rotation now. We've kind of brought in a rotation where it's going to be Ross the Boss. Have you been on with Ross the Boss?
I have been on with Ross.
Okay. He's a character, isn't he?
Yeah, he intimidates me a little bit, you know.
Listen, just know that I have your back, okay? If you want to go on with Ross the Boss, just know we can debrief afterwards.
Okay, good.
But we're gonna have our buddy Casey come on also. He's a therapist like me, so you don't have to worry too much unless you're on with Ross the Boss. Ross has taught me a lot about good sparring. He's always saying things, and I'm like, whoa, Ross, that was intense. He's an intense guy. But would you be willing to come on again when I'm on?
Yeah, man, absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, listen.
Y'all are doing some great work.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And it's really fun to talk to people, especially people who are just starting out in fantasy. They can really be passionate about it, and they're open to learning in ways that some of the like veterans aren't. They're like, oh, I know what I'm doing. So, talking to you is a pleasure. I appreciate talking to somebody who's like ready to soak up the knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for all your help.
All right, James. Pleasure having you on, and I will see you again soon, man.
Okay. Have a good night.
Thanks for coming on. Oh, that was a pleasure. Getting to speak to a live fan, and his first year in the league. I'm going to be keeping tabs on him. I think he can go far. Don't underestimate yourself when you are a rookie, because it's all about knowing how the game works. So I hope I brought you some interesting knowledge, and just that it was probably fun to just take a look at what is somebody thinking about when they're trying to evaluate these things. You saw me go through other teams. You saw me look at players. You saw me look at my own team. You saw me look at BABIP. Are people getting lucky or not? And I'm so excited to see Francisco Lindor is on the way up. In any case, everybody, it's been fun. Thank you for watching. We'll be back here every week, a rotating system with Ross the Boss, Casey, Vlad to the Bone Scheinvold, making his debut next week. Don't miss it. That is Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Probably not 6:07 Eastern. That was a mistake today. If you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below, and I'll get back to you personally. And a special shout-out to James Ward for joining me on the show today. You're the man.
Buy any case of Gilcliff, the clean energy drink, and get dinner for two on the moon. Go to Gilcliff.com.
Offer valid, totally valid. Transportation and not included. Dinner not to exceed $50 or moon dollars, whichever is less at the time of redemption. We have no idea what the currency exchange rate is on the moon. We totally made that part up. They sound cool, but there's no such thing as moon dollars. But it would be neat if there were. Gilcliff, big honor, huge in space, created by a Navy SEAL for people who aren't Navy SEALs. The official energy drink of Space Force and other people who aren't Navy SEALs. The biggest no-brainer in the history of drinks.